This is a website that just recently launched, and it might get changed a little bit just to make it a little bit more user-friendly for folks. But you can see the name of the website is at the bottom of the screen. It's called moeviction.com. So you can go there right now, and you'll be able to see all of these resources that I'm going through. So I'm going to walk you through them because I get a ton of questions from folks about, hey, I just got a notice from the sheriff. The sheriff's office just put a note on my door. What am I supposed to do? Do I have to leave? So in many parts of, well, all over the country right now, there is a moratorium on evictions that has been put in place by the CDC. So there's a federal rule right now that says that evictions cannot go forward. And that doesn't apply to everybody. You have to qualify for it. Most folks in America do qualify under the rules, but it doesn't apply to you unless you actually go get this piece of paper from the CDC, and you can print it out online, or now there's some other options available for you too. Fill it out and then give it to your landlord. At which point, your landlord, if there's an eviction in process, whatever might be happening, the landlord is then supposed to tell the sheriff, hey, this eviction shouldn't go forward anymore because they filled out this declaration form. That moratorium lasts through the end of June this year. There have been several up to this point that have been extended, but that's right now, the current one is through the end of June. As you can imagine, sometimes when a landlord receives this information, it does not get transmitted to the sheriff, or sometimes the sheriff has so much that maybe they didn't, really note what was going on, and they still come to the home. The first thing that the sheriff does is they'll provide you notice to say, hey, it's time for you to go. In St. Louis County specifically, I know they will come and they'll put a sticky note on the door, and then they'll leave and they'll come back whenever that date is that's on that note. When they do come back, that's it. That's the time. Like, if you're not gone at that point, then it will go very quickly and your stuff will be removed from the home, and that will be that. If you do provide that CDC form at that time, that does stop the process. And that's also part of what happens when the sheriff comes back that second time to actually complete the eviction. The landlord or representative has to be there too. So you presenting a CDC form at that time, even though it is really late and you should do it earlier, if you're doing it at that time because it is an emergency, that still works. And I know at least in St. Louis County, the sheriff has been instructed on that. If you are seeing other problems, you'll see on the CDC form that there is a number for you to call. And there's also other resources in the state for you to call, specifically legal ones if you're at that point already. So we'll share all that information too. But just so you know, if you are facing an eviction right now, there is the eviction moratorium. If you choose to complete that document, then you will fall under that moratorium if you qualify under everything else. So let's go through all of that. So if you go to moeviction.com, you will see a pretty sparse website right now. Like I said, it might go through a couple edits here, but there's two columns. If you're doing this on the phone, there's just one really long one. And what we've already talked about is what's happening if you're facing eviction. So that's on the left side of my screen right now. It talks about the federal pause on evictions. Now, there are two options here. There's one that says you can complete the form online. There is another where you can actually print the form to complete. So if you click on that print form to complete, this might look a little bit familiar to you if you've seen this before, but this is what the Eviction Protection Declaration looks like. And there are two columns here, a whole bunch of check boxes, and there's a second page, and that is it. That's what it is. So going through this form, you'll see at the very top in bold that this eviction moratorium is through June 30th, 2021 currently. And like I said, it has been extended a few times, and the form here has changed a few times, so it might look a little bit different to you. Do you have to complete a form each time? No, it is recommended that everybody who is over 18 in the home, 18 or older, should fill out one of these because you don't want one person evicted, the other one not to be. So potentially there could be an action against one and the other. So every adult in the household should complete one of these and then provide it to the landlord. The number that I talked about before is right here in how to use this form, section 1. So you'll see that right at the top of the form, and it's got a 1-800 number for you to call if you have any questions about this form in particular and how it applies. In column A, in section 1, there's 2 columns. There's column A and column B. You have to be able to check one of the boxes in column A and one of the boxes in column B for you to qualify under the CDC eviction moratorium. And you'll see that there are 3 options in column A. They're pretty self-explanatory, but the first one is, did you receive a stimulus check in 2020 or 21? If you did, then you check it. See, it even clicks for you, which is really nice before you print it out. If you were not required to report any income to the IRS in 2020, you can check that box. In 2020 or 2021, here's the income limit. So if you're an individual, the individual income limit is $99,000 for your household. If you are a joint filer, then it's $198,000. Now that's quite a bit of money. So like I said, most folks in America, this applies to one way or another. You've got some of the options here about how you might, some of these programs certainly be earning a lot less than $99,000, like food stamps, some of the temporary assistance funding that's out there too. There's a question that I've received recently about, well, this income number seems pretty high. What's the deal with that? Well, the number is up there because the moratorium is being conducted as a public health, really a public health effort. So the idea is, with more folks who are being evicted or removed from their homes, more folks who don't have a place to go, more folks who have to double up with another family, which happens quite a bit, then the spread of COVID-19 could happen much quicker. And in fact, some research that has been published, but there's another research paper that was just recently published this week, actually, I believe it was on Thursday of this week, showed what happens in certain cities when they didn't have a moratorium in place versus those that did. Like I said, I know this is the federal one, so it has been active all over the country, but a lot of folks don't even know about this, so they haven't used this at all. Local efforts have had more of an effect in terms of getting the word out to people. And so some places didn't have a moratorium and some places did have a local moratorium. And they found that those that did not were associated with a greater spread of COVID-19, a greater prevalence of COVID-19 in the community than those that did not. And it was a really interesting research paper that was just out there. But that kind of goes towards common sense. If there's a lot of housing instability and folks are out in the community a lot more and don't really have a place to go, and they're congregating potentially more with folks that they may not know, then you're likely to see more of a public health issue. So that's the reason why these income limits are really high. Also, if you think about it, a lot of folks who were making pretty good money were also really impacted by the economic issues in the United States. And I've spoken to many on the phone who, were not making any money whatsoever because their job hours got cut. A lot of folks who were working in home health care and the health industry, and they just hit a really bad situation, weren't able to pay their rent, and got behind. And even if they're catching up now, they may still have some kind of a judgment or an eviction that's pending. And so another reason why those income limits are that way. This has really impacted just about every group in the United States other than maybe those that have a whole ton of money already saved. So fortunately, a lot of folks in America don't have that. So you check one of these in column A. If one of those works, then you go over to column B, and in column B, you have to select one of these as well in order to qualify. So I cannot pay my full rent or make a full housing payment because my household income has gone down substantially, so that's really connected to a lot of the income here. I've been laid off from work. My work hours have been cut. or I have extraordinary out-of-pocket medical expenses, which has happened to a lot of folks too. So you have to be able to check one and then check the other. Once you've done that, you will go down to the second page. The second page has section 2 on it. Section 2 is about whether you understand what this declaration is doing, and you have to agree to all of these things. So first is my income level qualifies for the reasons explained above, so you just check those boxes, so you check this one again. I have done my best to make timely partial payments that are as close as possible to the full payment and to get government assistance in making my rent or housing payments. So this one's really key. Some folks I know, maybe your rent has been a lot more than you can afford, but you've been paying a little bit each month, or you've been making an effort to reach out and get housing assistance and rental assistance. If you've been doing that, you're able to check this box too. If you're making an effort towards paying, you can check this box. So it's really important to keep in mind, which is why the other stuff we're going to talk about applying for rental assistance and utilities, all of those things is so important to do, because otherwise, if you're not really making an effort and you're just kind of sitting there, this declaration doesn't apply to you. And I don't know why you wouldn't, because this moratorium does not cancel rent. So even if you're still in your home, your rent bill is still going up if you're not paying it. And I know a lot of folks can't pay it, which is why the rental assistance is really important. But you do not want to end up on July 1st with a huge bill that you could have had paid off through the rental assistance program because, you didn't want to do anything. And there's kind of two categories. There's one with folks who are just like, oh, I'm not doing this, and who cares? That's a bad category to be in. Don't be in the who cares category. Definitely try to get on top of this. And then there's the second, more common category of folks who are just really worried about all of this and have tried to ignore what's been going on because you don't want to open up the mail and see a bad letter. You don't want to talk to your landlord because you're worried about what might happen. I 100% appreciate that, but this is the time for you to get that help. And I know there are a lot of organizations, the mediation project I mentioned included, that will help you contact your landlord, or if you're the landlord, help you contact your tenant in order to try to get one or the other to apply for rental assistance. So please, this is the time to do something. So check that second box, because that's what you're going to do. If I were evicted, I have no other available housing options, and then it says you'd become homeless, or you'd have to move to a homeless shelter, or you have to move in with other folks. So if that's true, you check that box too. And I understand that after I sign, that you're still responsible for the back rent, all of the fees, must still follow the conditions of your lease. You can come to an agreement with your landlord, but if I don't, and if I don't do all of this when the eviction ends, just everything we talked about, that you could still be evicted once this is all over. And there are other reasons that you can be evicted. This isn't a free-for-all. You can't, cause all of these other, lease violations, and you're just blowing up your property, and I don't know, you're running some gambling ring out of it. You can't do that. So you can't participate in illegal behavior and have this thing applied to you either. This is just for really paying rent. And so keep that in mind too. So you check all these boxes. When you're done with this, you'll be able to put the date here if you'd like. And then here's the problem. So it's not like a form that the CDC has that you can just sign online, get it into your email, and then send it forward to somebody. You actually have to print this, sign this, and get this over to your landlord, and then keep a copy. You have to keep a copy for yourself. I really recommend that folks take a photo of that on your phone if you've got one, and that way, if you lose it, you've still got that picture. So this is a little bit of an issue, so let's go back to the other one. To make this process a little bit easier for everybody, if you do have a phone and some internet connectivity, or you can get over to a library or somebody's home and get on their Wi-Fi or something like that, there's a way to complete the form online now. So if you press this, this is a program that I put up, HelloSign, if you've heard of DocuSign before, or any of these other kind of programs that let you put an electronic signature on a document. That's exactly what this is. So when you get here, you will be asked for your email. The reason that you're being asked for your email is because when you are first, it's going to verify who you are. Second, when you are done filling out this form, instead of you having to go print it out, it will send it to you in your email box. You'll have the document. It will all be signed, ready to go, and then you can use that document to email it to somebody. You can text it to somebody. Whatever it is that you want to do, you can do with it, and you don't have to have access to a printer or anything else. So you're able to do it right from online. And so it's the exact same form, It has all of those same check boxes on it, and it's actually set up to make sure that, in that section where you have to check all 4 boxes, and I'll go back to that right here. So in this section, for example, it will not let you continue unless you have checked all 4 boxes. In the first 2 sections, it will not let you continue unless you've checked one of the boxes in column A and one of the boxes in column B. So for those of you who might be sending this out to people and are worried, hey, the instructions, it's a little hard. And I've had some folks who, it's there, but sometimes it's a little bit hard to understand. The online form will walk you through that entire process, and it will let you sign, and it will put in your email, and then you can get it out to the right folks. So that is, again, at moeviction.com. It is live right now, and you can complete the form online. So hopefully that's a little bit more convenient. I did see some forms that were online from some other agencies, and they were confusing for me, and I do this stuff all day, so I figured we'll just make this as easy as possible. That is step 1. So if you are facing imminent eviction, you need to know that there is a CDC form out there right now that you have to complete and get to your landlord. And then I also recommend calling the sheriff if you do have, the sticky note on the door, or the sheriff has been calling you, call them back. Don't ignore the situation. And most likely, if you qualify under all those things we just talked about, then you cannot be evicted until at least the beginning of July if this doesn't get extended any further. So that choice is yours if you'd like to complete that. If it's something where you do want to just move out and you're already planning on doing that for one reason or another, certainly that's an option. But unfortunately, a lot of folks don't know about this, and it's out there. It's important, and it will give you time, ideally, to then do all the rest of the stuff we're going to talk about right now. Let's talk about the rest of the stuff. All right, so you've done the CDC form, or you're okay. You're not facing eviction right now. You just need some help. You just need some funding. There are 2 programs right now in Missouri when it comes to St. Louis County, but there's one program for Missouri as a whole. So wherever you are in Missouri right now, you can apply for rental and utility assistance. You can apply for assistance up to 12 months of benefits. So if you're behind in rent for 12 months, this program works for you. If you're behind in rent 12 months and you're behind in some utilities for 12 months, this program is for you. If you're behind for 9 months, program is for you. If you're behind by 14 months, 12 months of the 14, this is for you. And it's still it's a great opportunity for you to get caught up on a whole lot of that, right? And then to figure out, ideally, a plan with your landlord to pay off whatever is going to be left over. So highly recommend applying for that. The first program, the statewide program, is called SAFER. Not spelled correctly. It's SAFHR, and that is through MHDC. So right here on this website, you'll be able to click this button. It says Apply to SAFER. So you click it, and it will take you to another website. And you might have seen me mention this before if you've watched the show before. If you haven't, welcome. But we've had a couple of videos on this program in particular. We had one with Jenny Miller of MHDC, and I'll put some of that information into links as well. And there's also a tutorial video that I made specifically for the SAFER program. So I will link to that video as well so that you can go ahead, you can watch that video. It's about 20-25 minutes to kind of walk you through how to apply for rental assistance through this program. The benefit of using SAFER is that you can save in the middle. So if you've got kids at home and they like to jump on your computer in the middle of you doing things, or you just have a few minutes here and there, this is a pretty good one for you to do. I do recommend you just kind of sit through and do the whole thing as much as you can. At least give it a glance over the first time, because then you'll have to collect some documents in order to upload and to send. Those documents are kind of similar to what I've discussed already. You'll have to prove what your income situation is. So if you're getting food stamps or you're part of some federal program, if you can show the benefits that you're getting, that would be something that you upload. If you don't have really anything to show one way or another, you can fill out a Form 1040, and if you haven't filed your taxes yet, that's still okay. You can still fill out that form and then submit that, and that will be accepted as well, even if you haven't filed it yet. You'll need some additional documents to show how much money you actually do owe. Oftentimes that looks like a ledger. So if you need, if you're talking to your landlord and you say, hey, I need to know how much money I owe you, and you're not sure what magic word to use, oftentimes the word is ledger, and that's kind of a spreadsheet of all the money that you've owned for which months and when you paid, and it's just a record of all the money that has been paid on your account or that is owed on your account. So you can upload that. I've also seen folks upload a letter from their landlord saying, hey, I'm the landlord for this person, and they owe me this much money for this many months, and I certify that that's true, and give you the letter, and then you upload the letter. But there's some documents in there that you'll just have to be aware of, and in your situation, you might need some that somebody else might not need. So you'll want to go through that application and get those documents together and then upload them. If you're having some trouble, I know that there are folks at libraries who are helping. There are also organizations that are helping too. So if you go to this website, so you follow that link, that button, and you'll see at the very upper right side of the page, you'll see an email. That's mo.safer@mhdc.com. And you'll see a phone number. That's 1-833-541-1599. Contact them. Let them know what's going on. And there are organizations that are supposed to be able to help you get all that stuff together and uploaded. You might have to wait a little bit on the phone because there are a lot of folks applying, but start that as soon as you can and get in contact with them and ask them. And again, like I said, I'll put up the video so that you can watch that, and hopefully we'll walk you through and you'll have a really good idea of what to do. So that's the SAFER program. A lot of folks ask, well, okay, so I fill out the darn thing, and then what happens? Once you fill it out, it will send a request to your landlord via email. So get your landlord's email. Your landlord fills out a couple things. It doesn't take very long. Comes back to you, press the button, and then you wait. Check your email pretty often because you might get some request, hey, you got to fix this, that, or the other, whatever it might be. Fix it. And once everything is done, it takes just a few weeks for the funding to get to your landlord directly, and then you're in good shape. So that's the statewide SAFER program. Wherever you are in the state of Missouri, this applies to you. Go check it out right now. The second program is one that is specific to St. Louis County. And the St. Louis County one is a little bit different, and I'll show you what their website looks like. The application itself looks very different. You don't immediately create a login, so you can't save in the middle, but again, it takes 30 to 45 minutes or so to complete the thing, so it's more like a form that's just really long that you fill out. You upload your documents in a separate section, so it is a little bit different. There are some additional benefits to it. The St. Louis County one, in some situations, can actually pay up to 15 months for rental assistance. And I should mention both of these programs, they can help you with future rent. So for example, if you are behind by 9 months, you can actually get up to 3 months of future rent if you're anticipating, you're still catching up or your job hasn't started yet. You can get some advance payments for that as well. So keep that in mind too. If you're despairing and you're thinking, oh, I'm going to get caught up and then what am I going to do? These programs can help you get at least a 3-month buffer period for you to figure out what your housing situation is. And it's part of the idea behind this is to improve housing stability. So both of those programs can do it. I know for the SAFER program, the statewide one, let's say you're not living at your location anymore, you've already moved out, but you still owe a whole ton of money, you can still apply to Safer to fund the debt that you have and to cover that, even if you're not at that location anymore. So if you have two places that you might owe money, you'll want to do a separate application for each one because the landlord's going to be different. So if we're looking at the St. Louis County one, if you click on this, you will go to the St. Louis County ERAP portal. That's Emergency Rental Assistance Program. Don't confuse it with, there used to be an old ERAP program that was a statewide one. This isn't the same. This is different. It's a lot more similar to the SAFER program I just mentioned. For those of you who are familiar with the ERAP program from before, it's gone. It's done. These are the two programs now. So don't worry. This is the St. Louis County one. So you'll see the website looks a little bit different. There's step 1, and they walk you all through step 5, which is really nice of them. What is really cool about this one, too, is you can actually check your application status. So on step 4, you'll actually get a application number, and you'll want to save that number, and you can use that number to then look up your application at any point. So if you're getting a little bit worried and you haven't heard anything, you can check where it is in the status anytime. And for both programs, you can still contact folks. So definitely do that if you have any questions. So step 1 is going to be the one that you'll start with, and that will be you completing a form. That's what takes about 30 to 45 minutes. Step 2 is you uploading those documents. So instead of doing it right within the form, you'll do it a little bit separately. The owner documents, that's coming from the landlord, so that will be a request that you're going to ask them to upload, and they'll get all that instruction as well. So if you are a landlord, you're really just doing this step right here for the most part, and then that's it. So this one also takes about 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks in some situations to get back to you once everything is done. So make sure to keep checking your emails no matter which one you're applying to make sure that you are fixing whatever's happening. If you do, I know that they contact you. They're very nice about it because I've had some folks I've helped edit some of the responses that they've given because they had some wrong information or they uploaded a document that couldn't be read. You can get that all fixed. In terms of what documents you can have, for example, if you've got a lease and they're asking you to upload a signed lease, which you'll need to do, you can actually take pictures of each page and upload it that way too. So it doesn't have to be some fancy PDF or something else. So just to show you what this looks like, if you go to the application, like I said, it's all just going to be questions about you, situations that you're in, your employment status, if you're being helped on this, and some of them, they kind of get, as you're clicking, they'll kind of balloon up into something else. So just be aware of that, and then at the bottom, you'll just click next, and it will take you through. There's 8 pages total. So you'll want to do this all in one sitting if you're applying for the St. Louis County one. So that's one of the drawbacks, I suppose, but there are some benefits to doing it this way too. So for those reasons I just mentioned. Okay, and so that is that's kind of like the 2 essential things you'll want to do. The first step is you want to consider whether or not you want to complete the CDC declaration. If you're facing imminent eviction, or if there's all these threats about eviction, you'll want to do that. Second is you want to apply for funding. You want to apply for funding. Whatever situation you're in, you'll definitely want to do it so you can get caught up. Don't wait. Do it now. There is funding there, but it's only there until it's not there. So certainly get in on that and get caught up. This is a great opportunity to do that. If you are in the St. Louis County area, I've mentioned this a few times before, the St. Louis Mediation Project, which is, I'm the outreach coordinator for it, and I'm one of the mediators there too. And if you do need some help through this process or trying to come to an agreement with your landlord, I know folks have been texting and calling all the time, and so I'm working with a whole ton of folks now. But if you do need any assistance, you can go ahead and click this button, and it will take you directly to that website too, and you can fill out a form and say hi. You can call the number, whatever you want to do. But those are all the links on this page. So that's what to do if you're in this situation right now. Hopefully those resources were helpful. I know I saw some comments coming in, and so I will answer those as I see them. And if you do have any questions or any other ideas, whatever it might be, go ahead and let me know, and you can text the number. I'll check that too. And feel free, please, if you could, share the website moeviction.com. It's got resources for folks. I mean, most of this stuff applies no matter where you are in the state of Missouri. The CDC form actually applies no matter where you are in the United States. So if you've got some folks out of state, you can send them that form too. Oh, thanks, ProGamer73. That was a nice comment.